So, I saw a really interesting post from Victor Hovland's teacher, Jeff Smith, and it was showing some differences between his full swing and his short game. He teaches them both things, and they've really worked hard to help improve his short game. And I think that's just so great. I think there's many people out there that could benefit from seeing some of the stuff that they're doing, what they've been working on, but also just to really realize that what we do in the full swing is not what you want to do in the short game, or vice versa. To understand your patterns and what exactly you're trying to accomplish. Or perhaps too, if there's something you don't like, how you can get rid of it, okay? But before we get started, as always, right, I've got an email list that I'd love you to be a part of. It's got a lot of free content on there that's different than what you see on YouTube. It's got tips that come out every week, golf instruction, golf media, golf news, just a lot of different stuff like that that you can sign up for at any time. Also, feel free to like or subscribe. Check me out on Instagram. I've got some stuff that goes on over there that's not here also. All that good stuff. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. Okay, so just to better illustrate what we kind of have going on today is I'm going to use this giant club, okay? And just so you can kind of see the angle of the club face and what's going on. So also to get started here, here's some of those clips of Victor Hovland. And you'll notice some of them are short game and full swing shots. Right? You can see this one here. You notice how his hands are way out ahead of the golf ball, and on the short game shot, his hands are more even with the golf ball, where he's letting the bounce of the club kind of brush the ground, right? The other one, when his hands are ahead, the leading edge of the club is hitting first, and he's compressing and hitting the ball for a lot of just penetrating distance, right? You'll notice from some of the down the line views also, because typically in the short game, we're trying to hit a higher, softer shot, right? We don't want the ball to be coming out really hot and fast. So you'll notice from this down the line view that when he gets back to this first position, the angle of his club face looks different, right? Here compared to here. Also, as he comes down, he's not on his full swing, he's in a very deep delivery position. Deep just meaning my elbow is way up here by my belly button to really drive the club through the golf ball. When he's in the short game, his elbow is kind of back here more by kind of the trail side of his lower right torso, okay? So there's a lot of difference in the face angles and what he's doing with his wrist conditions and stuff that's making those things happen, okay? And you're like, okay, that's great. How's that going to help me? So how it's going to help you is maybe you're that person that does not compress the ball, right? You're hitting your iron shots so high that they just go up and they drop down. They don't really go out. You don't take a divot. Your ball doesn't sound that solid. It doesn't sound as solid as your friends. You could actually be benefited in your full swing by trying to get to a stronger club face position on your backswing. You notice how the club head, the leading edge here, is the same angle as my spine. If you take some video of your swing, and I recommend you all do that, videotape yourself from down the line, videotape from face on. If your club face looks like this going back and your impact position looks like this, you're going to be turning your 9-iron into a pitching wedge or a gap wedge, and you're going to instantly be hitting it 20, 25 yards shorter. And no matter how hard you try to swing with that impact geometry, it's just going to go higher. It's not going to go farther, okay? Or vice versa. If this was a driver club and you had those same face angles, you're probably going to hit a big fade to a slice. It's going to have a lot of spin. It's not going to roll, right? We don't really slice irons with those positions because there's so much loft on the irons, but once you get out something that's straighter, right, like a 4-iron, a 3-wood, a driver especially, it's going to start to curve to the right, right? So check out those positions. Make sure that you've got something that looks more like this, and then even at impact with the driver, you notice where I'm coming into it with the driver. Notice where my elbow position is and where my hands are. That's actually a draw, right? This position with the driver, that's not going to help you draw the ball. Your friend might be telling you that because you're slicing that you need to release the club more, but that's actually going to have the opposite effect. It might start a little more left, but it's still going to be high and weak and curving some degree to the right. So I'm not saying that you necessarily need to do what he does. You could just be looking at some of those full swing shots and say, man, why is this guy one of the best ball strikers on tour? Right? A lot of it's because of what his club is doing from, say, here on the backswing. And then as he comes down, you'll notice he keeps that same position. He's not opening the club face back up, coming in like this. He's got it right there. And then he's driving that handle through the golf ball with some shaft lean and just a strong pivot of his body, okay? So that might be what you need to do. And then vice versa, if you go, no, you know what, I'm pretty good with the distances, but my short game is not that great, right? I'm kind of inconsistent. I chunk and I scull the ball. You're probably somebody that maybe doesn't work on their short game enough to really develop an individual technique, right? It needs to be a little more tailored to a short game shot, which is typically higher and softer, right? It's not always that. Sometimes there are shots that we're going to drive in lower, but even when we drive them in lower, it's going to be a little different than our full swing technique. We're usually not going to take really big divots, right? So if that's you, you go, hey, I want to kind of rehearse and work on getting this club face to open up. And what's basically doing that when you watch from this down the line view is I'm rotating my left forearm more, and that's getting more loft on the face as I go back. This would be great for a little higher trajectory shot, great for a bunker shot. And then what it really helps to do, as you come down to release it, you notice now my hands are not as much forward or in front of the ball from this face-on view. This exposes the bounce, and it gives you a little more margin for error, right? The trail edge of the club is sliding through the sand, sliding through the deep grass, and it helps you to hit the ball up higher, softer, just a lot easier, rather than people that are trying to do this coming into the golf ball. What ends up happening when people have too strong of a face position in the short game, they typically start to fall back, or they start to try to flip their hands at the last second because they know the ball is going to be coming out incorrectly, like too hot and too low. So I think this tip could help all of you just to know you don't want to be a one-trick pony, right? And if the tricks that you're doing aren't working out so well, maybe let's change them up a little bit, right? You would be surprised at how many lessons I give where we're just working on hands. We're using different swing trainers like the hanger, the swing guide, things like that, and it makes huge differences in what your body does, okay? Or vice versa, when I get somebody that didn't have a good short game, we go work on their short game, how important it is to kind of have some of these little movements in the hands and how that really starts to help them just execute shots that they were really struggling with. Maybe they were struggling on tight lies, hitting it high and soft out of the rough or over a bunker, right? They just did not have the technique or the confidence to do it. Once they get their hands isolated working right, it all starts to go away. So what I would do is next time you're at the driving range is start to mess around a little bit. Don't be that one-trick pony, right? I've got my lob wedge out here, my 58. Hit some where you're driving it in there really low and firm, right? And then hit some. This would be my lower shot. Notice the club face. I'm going to feel like my hands are a little more leading. This will go maybe 65 to 70 yards. It's going to go on a much lower trajectory, right, because of what my hands are doing. And then right after that, I want you to mix it up. Open the club face a little bit, right? I've kind of spun it open slightly. I've re-gripped it. And then I'm going to feel some of that happening in the backswing. And you need to get comfortable with that because obviously you're going to be doing it out in a real round of golf with some pressure going over a bunker. So feel some of that and be able to execute that technique. So you're seeing there how the ball popped up a little bit higher. And, you know, to the naked eye, I know it doesn't look like I did a whole lot different, but trust me, if you could get in my body, get in my hands, you would feel how much differently I'm working the golf club, both back and through, to get that higher shot to happen, compared to what I was doing with the lower shot. The different forces on the grip and the different face positions. One, I'm driving the handle and club. The other one, I feel like I'm really kind of throwing the head at the golf ball. And the face is very open as I do it, right? I hope that helps. I hope that really helps you to diversify and do things differently in your short game. I think it will. Go out there and mix it up next time and see if it doesn't help improve both facets of your game. Thank you so much for watching that video. If you really liked it, feel free to subscribe or give me a thumbs up. I love hearing from you guys too, so definitely drop a comment with any questions or concerns. But if you really want to get a lot of my content that's not on YouTube, I have an email list. All you need to do is click the link below, put your email in, and you'll be getting all this content for free that nobody else gets on YouTube. Lessons from me that come out almost every other day. I'll talk to you soon.